My sister borrowed my car, but what I discovered inside the trunk made me question our family. It was the first week of November, and the Basque rain had turned vicious. San Sebastian looked bruised under the low sky, the bay the color of old pewter, the wind ripping whitecaps off the waves that slammed against the seawall on Zuriola Beach. I had come back from Madrid for my mother's 60th birthday, parking my battered black Golf on the narrow street behind the Catedral del Buen Pastor, because every garage in Grove was full. June, my older sister by 4 years, had asked to borrow it. "Just for the afternoon, Martin, please. I have an errand in Hondarribia, and my Renault is in the shop again." June always had an errand. June always had a smile that made you forget the last time she forgot to bring the car back with petrol, or with the same tires, or at all. Our mother called it June's chaos. I called it something else, but I handed her the keys because it was easier than listening to the sigh that could curdle milk. She returned after midnight. I heard the Golf cough its way into the spot, door slamming, then her heels clicking up the stairs of the old building on Calle San Jeronimo. No knock on my door? No "Gracias, hermanito"? Just the faint smell of her perfume, something expensive and French, lingering in the corridor like an accusation. The next morning I needed the car to drive to Guetaria for work. I walked out into the wet cold, the streetlights still on, gulls screaming overhead. When I opened the boot to throw in my laptop bag, the smell hit me first. Iron and salt and something sweeter, like rotting apples. The spare tire well had been forced open. Inside, wrapped in 2 black bin bags and a child's pink blanket covered in faded unicorns, was a baby. A boy, maybe 2 weeks old, blue cold, lips purple, eyes half open to the rain that had dripped through the rusted holes in the wheel arch. I did not scream. I stood there while the rain soaked my coat, staring at the tiny rigid fingers curled like seashells. Somewhere far away, a tram bell rang on the bridge. I closed the boot, gently, the way you close the eyes of the dead, and went upstairs to wake my sister. June opened the door, wearing one of our father's old shirts, hair wild, mascara smudged into bruises. She looked at my face and knew. "It isn't what you think," she said immediately. "Then tell me what it is." She stepped aside. The flat smelled of cold milk and talcum powder. On the kitchen table lay a birth certificate still damp from the printer ink. Unai Etxebarria, born the 24th of October. Mother June Etxebarria Olano. Father listed as unknown. Next to it, a half-empty bottle of laudanum from the 1970s that had belonged to our grandmother, and a pacifier sticky with honey. I could barely breathe. "You put him in the car to die?" "No, I put him in the car to take him to the hospital in Irun. I was going to leave him at the door, the baby hatch, anonymous. But I fell asleep at the wheel on the way back. When I woke up, it was dark, and he was already..." Her voice cracked like thin ice. He was already quiet. I wanted to hit her. I wanted to hug her. Instead, I asked the question that would destroy us both. "Why didn't you tell anyone you were pregnant?" She laughed, a sound like breaking glass dragged across stone. "Because everyone would have known whose baby it was." The room tilted. I gripped the door frame. "Whose, June?" She looked toward the photograph on the wall, our parents' 30th wedding anniversary, all of us smiling on the terrace at Yaiskabel. Our father's arm around June's shoulders, too tight, too low, the way it had always been. "No," I whispered. "It started when I was 15, she said, voice flat, as if reading tomorrow's weather. after Mama's first cancer scare, when he was drinking even more. He said I was the chemo made her cold, that he was lonely, that it was my duty as the eldest daughter. He said if I told anyone they'd put him in prison and Mama would die of shame. So I kept quiet. I kept quiet for 12 years. The floor under me turned to water. I saw every Christmas, every summer in Zorauts, every time he called her Nescapolita and pinched her cheek too hard, every time she flinched when he entered the room. I had thought it was normal Basque father roughness. I had been 20 when I left for university in Madrid, 24 when I moved there permanently. I had run away and left her behind with the monster. There were others, she continued, but this one took. I thought if I got rid of it quietly, it would finally be over. But I couldn't. I carried him. And then he came out with Papa's eyes. The same birthmark on the neck, the same widow's peak. I looked at him and saw the devil that made me. I don't remember sitting down. I only remember the rain against the window, sounding like bones rattling. "What do we do?" I asked. "We." She smiled, bitter. "There is no we anymore, Martin. You will go to the police. You will tell them your crazy sister killed her baby. They will lock me up. Mama will die this time, properly. And Papa will keep fishing on his boat and drinking in La Cepa. And everyone will say what a tragedy. Those poor ex-Cebaria children were always strange." I looked at the tiny pink blanket still in my hands, damp with rain and death. "Or," I said slowly, tasting iron in my mouth, "we make him pay." She stared at me for a long time. Then, very carefully, she nodded. The plan took shape over the following weeks like frost on a window pane, slow and beautiful and deadly. First, the baby. We could not bury him in consecrated ground. The priest in the old town was Papa's cousin. So we drove at dusk to the forest above Yoizkibel, the same place we used to play as children among the abandoned bunkers from the Civil War. The soil was soft from rain. June dug while I held the lantern. She wrapped Unai in the unicorn blanket and laid him down with the laudanum bottle, like an offering to old gods. She did not cry. I did, silently the whole time. We burned our clothes in a drum behind the workshop in Pasai Donabane. The smoke smelled of wool and guilt. Then we waited for spring, because revenge, like Tzakoli, needs time to breathe. Our father, Miguel Echevarria, was 65, thick-necked, still strong from hauling nets. He had the respect of the cofradia, the fisherman's brotherhood. He had the fear of his wife, who now weighed 48 kilos and believed every lie he fed her about night fishing. He had the love of the town, because he bought rounds at the bar and told jokes in perfect Euskara. He did not have our love anymore. June moved back into the family flat on Calle Narica to take care of Mama. I took leave from the architecture firm in Madrid and rented a room above Bar Desi in Gro, telling everyone I was designing a new promenade renovation for the Ayuntamiento. In truth, I was designing something else entirely. I began visiting Papa on his boat, Arantzazu, named after our mother like a mockery. I brought expensive rioja, memories, laughter I did not feel. I listened to him boast about the size of his hake, about women in breast, the time he punched a Frenchman in the port. I watched the way his hands still moved when he spoke, thick fingers that had once held my sister down. June, meanwhile, became the perfect daughter. She cooked marmitaco the way he liked it, thick with bonito and peppers. She rubbed his shoulders when the sciatica flared. She let him kiss her cheek, let his hand linger on the small of her back. She waited. In May, the fiesta of San Juan loomed, the night when the whole town burns effigies on the beach and drinks until dawn. Papa always took Arantzazu out at sunset to watch the fireworks from the water. A bottle of Paxaran in one hand, binoculars in the other to spy on the girls in bikinis. This year we made sure the Paxaran was special. June bought the digitalis from an old shepherd near Lasaka, who grew it for his garden, for the heart. I crushed the leaves into powder in my mortar, the same one Abuela used for cod pilpil. We added it to the bottle 3 nights running, small doses, so that by the time he drank on the boat, his heart would already be fluttering like a trapped bird. On the 23rd of June, the sky was the color of bruised peaches. The town smelled of wood smoke and sardines grilling on the beach. Papa kissed Mama goodbye, told her not to wait up. June and I stood on the quay waving as Arantzazu puttered out past the breakwater, its lights winking red and green. He never came back. They found the boat 3 days later, drifting near Hendaya, nets deployed but empty, a half-drunk bottle of Paxaran rolling on the deck. The autopsy said massive cardiac arrest, brought on by long-term alcohol abuse and undiagnosed heart condition. The digitalis was undetectable after that much time in the bloodstream. The shepherd had taught us well. At the funeral, the church was full. Old fishermen in black berets, women clutching rosaries. The mayor giving a speech about what a pillar of the community Miguel Etxebarria had been. Mama sat between June and me, thin as paper, weeping without sound. June held her hand. I carried the coffin with 5 other men, feeling the weight of him for the last time, lighter than I expected. Afterward, at the reception in Sociedad Gaztelubide, people came up to us. Your father, what a man. He provided for you all so well. He loved the sea more than anything. June and I smiled the same smile, raised our glasses of Sakoli to the same toast. Later that night, we walked to Konza Beach. The tide was out, the sand wet and silver under the moon. We took off our shoes and waded into the freezing water up to our knees. Is it finished? I asked. June looked toward France, lights blinking on the dark horizon. He's dead, she said, but it will never be finished. She was right. Some nights I still wake smelling apples and iron. Some mornings June calls and says only, I saw his eyes in the mirror today, before hanging up. Mama asks why we never speak of him anymore. Why June flinches when men raise their voices, why I stopped designing buildings and now only draw impossible bridges that go nowhere. We never told anyone the truth. The family remained intact on the outside. 3 survivors rattling around the flat on Narica, eating lentejas on Thursdays, going to misa on Sundays. But inside, we are ruined. Beautifully, perfectly ruined. Sometimes revenge is not fire. Sometimes it is frost, slow, quiet, covering everything until even the memory of warmth is gone. And in the forest above Yaiskibel, under the oak we planted the following spring, Unai sleeps under his pink unicorns. We visit on his birthday with a small cake we never light. June sings him Hortsotsikia. In a voice like breaking bells, I stand guard so the wild boars don't disturb him. 4 people entered that car boot in November. Only 2 walked out. The other 2, we carry them forever, like stones in the chest, like the sea in our Basque blood, cold and endless, and ours alone.